Let's do some shadow work, so to speak. Hello there, humans. I am Cecile Bruno, the partially blind alien from a distant galaxy who is a known voices author. And today I'm going to give you 2 ways in which you can write a more nuanced villain. If you're new to my channel, hello there! Consider subscribing. If you're already here, well, thank you for coming back. Hey, so 2 ways in which you can write a villain, because it's that time of the year. Samhain is coming. Sorry, Halloween. I call it Samhain. Anyway, Halloween is coming and everybody wants to talk about villains, also NaNoWriMo, and people are prepping, and you know, a big part of your preparation for your very fast drafting process of writing a story is creating your villain. Who is going to be your villain? These are two ways in which I sit and block some time out to write a more nuanced villain, and so far I have got good feedback. This is why I have the audacity to make this video, because so far my beta readers are giving me good feedback on my quote-unquote villainous characters, and so I think I can share what I am doing in hopes that it might be helpful for you. I talked about it in my previous video, but I wasn't in a good state of mind, and so I talked about it briefly, trying to pull out something useful for all of you, but now I'm going to really go into depth, in depth about it. The first thing that I have to do for any villain, or any character actually, is I need a name. I really need a name, because I cannot work with placeholders. It just doesn't work for me. So I need a name. The first step is always I need a name. I go on baby name websites and I think of a meaning for this character. How am I going to know the meaning of this character if I haven't created the character yet? Well, that's a thing that I have. I don't know. It's an intuitive thing that I have. Some writers have it. I mean, we're writers, we're artists. A lot of people have it here. So the first kind of process is both of them start in the same place. Look inside. This is why I joked about doing some shadow work at the beginning of this video. It's just introspection, and I would recommend people to block some time out, like in your office or in your room, or I don't know, a short time in the forest if you have like a private, very, very private place, because you're gonna go deep and it's gonna get dark. And it's not going to be pretty. So your partner, your children, if you have, your friend, your sister, your neighbors, whatever, they're going to think, do you want me to call a therapist? So no, block some time out for yourself and then do this. First thing, for creating a villain based on your own darkest aspects. This is the first process. You are going to think of all the things that make you angry. You. Not that people have done to you that make you, no. Things, situations, not people. Situations that make you angry. Circumstances that make you angry. It could be poverty. It could be solitude. It could be jealousy. It could be a specific, like when someone messes up with my loved ones. This is one that gets me every time. Even if it's not a direct loved one, like if I'm a fan of a music group, if I'm a fan of a specific artist, and someone comes and talks trash about my idols with no reason whatsoever, or this feeling of entitlement. For example, if this artist has not released anything in a while, oh come on, they are taking forever. This makes me tick. This makes me angry. Like, I didn't notice it until very recently, but in a way, this artist is kind of a loved one in a sense that it's a person that I have admiration for or respect for, and someone that one way or another I care about. And it makes me tick. every time. It's even worse when it is a person that I love, that is very close to me directly. It's like, it's not an artist, it's like a family member or a very close friend of mine, a partner, anything. And you or someone messes with that loved one, I'm going to find you. I'm joking. But it's in my mind. I have this desire of finding this piece of bullcrap and giving them a lesson. You see how my voice changes just when I'm talking about it? It's genuine, it's true. I am never going to do anything because laws are in place, and I am a very, like, I care, and like I know my place in the world, and I don't want to get in trouble. I choose to do the right thing. But that doesn't take away the thing that I wish I could find them and not only punch them in the face, but do some more. And it won't be pretty. And it's just, this is where nuanced villains come from. I'm sorry, but when people talk about how to write a villain and they try to analyze like an external archetype that is probably not related to them and what makes them tick, they can pull it off, sure, but it's not as terrifying as if you analyze your own self and the things that you think are like a good trait. For example, I am very protective of my loved ones, which could be a good trait, could be, but at the same time it could be very, it could be a mess. I take this trait of mine that I don't want to see anyone having the guts to mess with my loved ones in any shape or form. I take it out of myself, put it into a piece of paper, or just like in a separate compartment in my mind, because this is going to be the basis for the motivations for my villainous character. Recently, I wrote a character that could be said that it's based on me, but not really, because this person is kind of different from me, but has a lot of myself, even the partially blind aspect of myself. It's a she. She doesn't have the same eyesight condition, but it's similar. And like, she needs a cane, which is something that I don't need. She needs a guide dog. I don't need it, but she needs it. So I took aspects of me, put it in a separate compartment, added to the name that I already found. I wanted a name that meant something like hidden or secret, and also a name that had connotations with nature. So I had this kind of basic personality that I wanted for this character, and I also wanted the traits, like the darkest traits I have. Contrary to my own self-sabotage, this villainous woman is the kind of villain that instead of damaging themselves, they're going to target, like they're gonna find you and you're gonna pay. So instead of taking all the damage against herself, she takes it, this is not mine, but I took it because I took this example of I'm gonna find you if you mess up with my loved ones. So she's gonna find you if you mess with her or someone she cares. Like, so you see what I'm saying? I took some thoughts of mine, very dark and very deep, and I put it into her. This was a way in which I was going to develop the plot of the story and how she's going to make the move she makes. This is not a good versus evil narrative, because it is arguably that she's a kind of like a morally gray villain, so to speak. But the supposed hero of this story is also gray. It's not an anti-hero, but it's not a saint. So the story gets real gray real fast. And like a friend of mine who read the story said, it's kind of hard, like you're not sure anymore who you should believe. It's this kind of story where who is the villain? Like, who is really the villain here? So yeah, I took that particular trait of mine. I took some more, like the me versus them. The world is out to get me. and I gave it to her too. This is why she, most of the time, she does what she does alone. And she's going to work solo because the world is out to get her, supposedly. And this is something that I want to mention. And a lot of people who go through hardships in life, if it's constant and like frequent and consistent and repetitive, they really will develop this thought that the world is out to get them, like everyone is against them. Because life and circumstances are repeatedly kind of showing them that it's a me versus them scenario. This happens with marginalized people, this happens with abused people, people who go through abuse. They could choose to be the good guy and turn the other cheek, or they could be like the villain in my story. So one of her final lessons in this story is precisely getting out of this isolation state. She isolates herself to protect the few people she cares about. But when even isolating herself does not protect those that she cares about the most, then she realizes that she can't do that alone, whatever it is that she tries to do. And it's not a redemption arc, because no, this girl is a freaking psycho. And she needs a therapist like yesterday. Not tomorrow, yesterday. She needs a therapist before the story starts. But so it's not redeemable, but it's a lesson for her. That it's not a me versus them. It's not an us versus them. It's more complicated than that. But the trait of antagonizing, like me versus them, is there. So she clearly has it in the story. It comes from myself. People who have been through hardships, they feel it, and it's very hard to get rid of it. You cannot get rid of it alone. So I gave it to her, and this is why apparently the few feedback that I have had on this story makes her actually a favorite character of a few of my friends and readers. They want to see more from this girl. So I gotta say I'm proud of her. Not of her villainous things, but I am proud of how nuanced she became. And it came out of me. It came out of some really negative aspects of myself. Things that in real life I would never dare to do. Things that in real life I better put away, repress, try to forget. But because I am very self-aware, not the most self-aware, but I'm good at this process. I know what makes me tick. It's not everything, but I know some of the things that make me tick. And once I realize, I try to work it out. And writing stories is a coping mechanism for me. It really helps me to work out the things that I need to overcome. So I write villains that way. That's one of the ways in which I write a villain. It comes from my own inner monster, so to speak. The second way in which you can write a villain would be, it's similar. You also have to block some time out. You're gonna cry, you're gonna scream, you're gonna throw things against the wall. Please don't throw your phone against the wall, you're gonna destroy it. Don't do this. But you need some privacy, because you're going to scream. I did. I don't know. I'm not going to put things in the place of other people. I'm not you. But it's possible that you're gonna go so deep that at least you're gonna cry. So this is why I say that you have to block some time out. I repeat it because this is very important. The second villain that I want to bring up is someone that is kind of known already for my beta readers, so I don't care. I'm going to talk about him anyway. Is of course the one and only Mr. Fyodor Petrovich. I'm not comfortable talking about him. I hate him. He hates me. I hate him. Where does he come from? Okay. I did not, and I promise, there's no evil Russian dude trying to destroy me in my real life. So no, I didn't take some random person I know in real life and made him a character directly. No. But this character is a combination of me looking inside again, and a little bit of external research in order to create like the basic traits of a character. I'm going to go in depth. Now, I looked inside for things that people did to me. Now, the first tip was situations that made me tick. This is about people that got the worst out of me. Like specific people with specific things that they did to me that got the worst, like the monster. But now I am not focusing on what I did and what I was thinking about doing to them. No. Now I am focusing on their monsters. Theirs. But not like when you watch a movie. When you're watching a movie, because it's fictional, you are looking at the final exaggerated product. This is why when people try to analyze archetypes from a movie, they are trying to analyze the monster that someone else created. It comes from someone else's mind. This is a little bit different from that because this character in particular comes from my own mind and my own understanding of other people and what they have done to me. Everyone, this is why I want to share this. Everyone has gone through some hardship in life. Some people have gone through things that I have no idea. So, like I mentioned in that previous video, when I was trying to do something useful for you, I said that I was raised listening that I am useless. So I took this. I didn't want to point at the specific person because it was more than one person that raised me with this belief that I am useless. So I took this idea of a person who thinks I am a good for nothing. And I took it and I put it in this separate compartment. And this is a trait for this Mr. Petrovich character that I'm going to create. He thinks that a certain group of people are useless. Even fully able people. He is not a perfectionist. He fails to understand that he is not a child anymore. And a lot of people in this story are children. They are still learning. And he forgot that at one point in his life he was also learning. So it's not just the fact that he is perfectionist. It's the fact that he forgets that no one is born perfect. This trait belongs to someone I know in my real life. So it's not just the useless, it's the fact that this person forgot that I was a child versus how many years this person has been in the world. So I took all these very specific, nuanced pieces of traits of the person, put it in a separate compartment, and look for other types of traits from other people. This is why when I say that I write someone in my story, I do and I don't, because I don't write my stories to hurt people, in a specific person in particular. I take the nastiest things I have seen from other people, more than one person at a time, put them together, and then I create a character. Like it's completely separate and a little bit exaggerated sometimes. Sometimes I just leave it as it is because I had the pleasure to meet the real assholes. This is why I don't believe in redeemable villains so much, because a lot of villains don't deserve to be redeemed. They are just pieces of Another type of person that also composes the negative traits of this Mr. Petrovich character. Another kind of trait is that a person that is basically playing chess with you. You have no idea that this person is like 3 steps ahead of you, and they are playing with you, and you don't even see it coming until it's too late. That requires a lot of intelligence. So you have to make your villain powerful in whatever way you can. Could be intelligence, could be strength, could be resources, could be all of it at once, like he is. He has resources, contacts, like resources of all kind. He has money, he has contacts, he has physical resources, he has every kind of resources. He is very intelligent and he is physically strong. Like, my goodness, he is overpowered. How is my hero going to defeat him? Especially when my hero is a child and he is, well, Papa. We will see. And yeah, so I got to know people that when I was a lot more naive in my childhood, they were playing chess with me, and I didn't see it coming. So I took this kind of person and added to the you are useless, demanding, perfectionist, ableist, racist, sexist, bigot, because he is all the ists. And that's possible. Precisely because he is very demanding of people and he wants everybody to be a mini Petrovich because that's what he wants. And yeah, so why? I'm going to go in details a little bit later. But so I took these two very specific nuanced traits of characteristics from 2 or 3 or 4 or how many you need different people. And that's what makes the specific personality of him. Then I can start working in backstory to weave all these characteristics with specific things that made him the way he is. For example, here's where I feel like I have this weird, I don't know, intuition? I don't know. Hashtag Dal is a clairvoyant. Anyway, this is where I have this very intuition that I knew this, I mean, the name Petrovich, like Fyodor Petrovich, like he's Russian. And by the way, first of all, nothing against Russians. I wanted him to be from Russia because, first of all, this story is in an international space station and there's gotta be some Russians there, and he's not the only one, he is just the one that I'm focusing on the most. And they are so involved in space programs and in astronomy. I learn a lot about astronomy in my free time because of Russians. So, my big respects, I have nothing against them. I swear. But evil people have to come from somewhere. It could have been American. Could have been British. Could have been Hungarian. Could have been from wherever. I just made him Russian because, well, I don't know. I have a good reason for that, actually. I don't want to spoil. I'm not going to spoil because, no. I'm still working on book 2 and there his very Slavic characteristics come into play and it's important. It becomes important. So that's another reason why he's from Russia. But he is not your stereotypical Moscovian, he's not from Moscow. This is what I was talking about, that I have this kind of intuition. It's weird. I knew before I knew anything. I was like, he's not from Moscow and he's not Siberian. He's from somewhere else. From where? Kamchatka? No, nah. He's not. And then I was like, he's from Central Russia, but I know nothing about Central Russia, so I had to do research. It is always essential to do research when you're creating an antagonist or a villain, because otherwise you're going to end up with a mustache twirling, I'm just evil for the sake of being evil kind of villain, and no one wants that in their book. If you want to make a good book, you need a good villain. If your villain sucks, your book sucks. So, Central Russia, huh? And as I was doing my research and spending hours upon hours on Google Maps, I don't know, algorithms are the way they are, and YouTube sent me a few videos about like the deadliest lake on Earth. They are reading my mind. I'm just a writer, I swear. I don't want any kind of Russian intelligence here at outside my door, like, we need to talk with you. I'm like, no. I'm just a writer and everything is fiction and I'm just a very curious person. So I found about this incident in Central Russia in the 1950s with a nuclear plant, and everything went wrong, and now that area is worse than Chernobyl, but no one is talking about it, and a lot of people don't know about it. Everybody knows about Chernobyl. It became really popular. It's a famous TV show now. I think I don't watch TV. I heard about it. I don't know. But no one talks about Kostum and Mayak and Muslimova and all these little villages that went wrong because of CT-40. No one talks about it. And there's where he's from. When I found about this, it just clicked. I was like, oh my god, this is where he's from. So he is from this little village. He's not from Ozhetsk. That's too obvious. He's from Kostum, which is close by and also affected. So I like Kostum because it's also a place for another urban legend of Aleshonka, which is like supposedly a baby alien, and I was like, I like that. Why not that he calls Tibor Aleshonka when he's a baby? If you look it up, you will understand. I'm sorry, I'm going into very specific details, but I'm sharing this because you might be surprised of all the things that you're going to learn when you're doing research that you might not put in your story, but it will help you to create this very realistic villain that you are even terrified of yourself. Like, I don't want to see that. I don't want to interact with this character. I interact with him as little as possible, like just for what I need and bye-bye, because he is very real to me. And I hate him, and he hates me. It's not just, oh, I hate you because you're evil. No, he hates me. Like, and deep down, we could be very similar. I am not a bigot, but I am very perfectionist and very demanding against myself. And I just want the best out of me. Like, I want to put the best product, and this could paralyze me. I want to put everything that is just the best of the best of the best that I can produce. And this is why sometimes I cannot produce anything at all. So, I hate him, he hates me. But deep down, we are not that different. So I went into all the research. I learned a lot about Russia. I learned about Russia that a lot of people don't know. I even studied some basic Russian because, hello, I'm writing a character who speaks this language. So and you don't have to do that if your villain speaks English or you're the same language that you speak, then you're fine. But I am crazy like that. And I like to just make the character as real as possible. I am not going to info dump all the things that I know. Like, nowhere in my story have I mentioned that he is from Kashtum. Not yet. Maybe I will never mention it. But I know it. Like, there is a lot that the author knows that the reader doesn't know. Like, there has to be this feeling for the reader that the author knows things that you don't know yet. The author is not info dumping you with everything. You will find out if you need to find out. If you don't need to find out, you can maybe write it down in a Pottermore style for yourself, and later when you're famous, if people care, then you can release it, like he's from Kashtum or whatever. But yeah, so you look at external things for your research, but you cannot do this. Imagine if I did all this Russia research without first going into the details of what is this person's nuances, what does make this person tick, like this demanding style of teaching that he has, this playing chess like thing that he does with people, this aspect of himself that he forgot that he was a child too and he was learning as well. All of that, what would have been of my villain if I didn't do that before I did all the research about where is he from and how did he grow up, and yeah, like the fact that he grew up in a radioactive area and he is not affected by radiation, therefore he is the only true fully able person in the village, and this is why he feels that everyone is useless. What would have been? He wouldn't be as nuanced and as intriguing and as interesting. No, I can hear him like, without me, your story would be shit. And yeah, maybe, but yeah. This is why I share all the things that I'm sharing. I hope that at least it's kind of useful. Look inside instead of looking out. Because when you look out, you are looking at final products, and you are not looking at the monsters that created it. You have your own monster to create your most fabulous, bone-chilling, clever, manipulating villains from yourself or from people who hurt you. Use it. Use it in a healthy fashion. Create an amazing, unforgettable story. And surprise your readers with the most humane and darker aspects of what humans or species, whatever, if you're writing aliens, I don't know. Stop killing my people! Anyway, I hope it was helpful. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.